This is a story about an incredible find and even more incredible dumb luck. If the phrase, "I'd rather be lucky than good," should apply to anything, this is it. Now, in the era of the COVID crisis, with social distancing and all the other restrictions that were going on, it's very difficult to get permissions to metal detect. And so it caused me to kind of rethink, okay, well, if I can't get a permission on an old house, an old property, well, then what can I do? So I'm from the Ogden area in Utah, which is an old railroad town. It was the Junction City. Everybody who traveled from the East Coast to the West Coast traveled through Ogden in the heyday of the railroads. So in terms of old here, we have, the oldest is probably the mid 1800s, and those are extremely rare type finds. But, towards the end of the 19th century and into the 20th century, we have a lot of historic things here, properties, and in this case, parks. Ogden City has some really, really old parks, and so I decided to do a little research. I went on newspapers.com and researched some old articles about parks, events at parks, how old, how long. And I also went on to historicalaerials.com and was able to look at an aerial view of Ogden and some of the parks. It only went back to 1950, but from 1950 to 2016, I can do a side-by-side comparable view from the air and look at the dirt, look at the ground, at least get an idea of maybe what has changed, what has been moved around, and what hasn't. And that's where I started on this case. And the park I went to is Liberty Park. It's located in kind of north central city, Ogden, and it's an old park. It was, at least I found, it at least existed before 1896. I found a photo of that time period. I found some news articles that I'll share with you. And, the great thing about this park is my grandmother, who was born in 1914 and lived in Center City as she grew up, told me that she went to a circus, the traveling circus. And she explained to me how the circus would come in on trains into Ogden, and they would detrain all the animals and the clowns and all the acts and things, and then they would do a giant parade through the city, and it would end at the venue that they would hold the circus. And she told me she had these great memories of going to the circus at Liberty Park at 21st and Monroe in Ogden, and how she loved it. And she talked about the elephants and all the exotic animals and whatnot. So I decided to go give it a try. Go throw my detector over the dirt and see what happens. And here's what happened.
Well, I got a deep signal. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if you can see that down there. But it looks like there's a coin. Shall we see what it is? Sure is green. That's a Lincoln. That's a Wheatie. if I'm gonna be able to. Let's see if I can get you in the light. Get a date off of that. My eyes suck, so I can't see what it is. I'll take a picture of it and then let you know. All right. Well, there was nothing else in the hall, but just to let you show you how deep it was. That's every bit of 8 inches down. Wish it was an Indian, but I will take the Wheatie.
So after I found the penny, I hunted that park probably for 2 hours total, and I found a Utah State tax token. It was metal, so it's probably 30s, 40s, something like that, and a game piece, broken shell or sailboat game piece. But that was pretty much it. So I went home. I cleaned up those items as well as some items I found the previous day at another park, which included a couple buffalo nickels and some other thingies. And I grouped them together and took a photo. Now, recently, one of my friends informed me about a metal detecting club, or at least a Facebook site, Metal Detecting Utah. And so I joined it a few months ago, and I'd made some posts, some weekly posts of some of the finds that I did that week. And that's what I did with these, is I grouped the penny and the things from Liberty Park, the buffalo nickels from the other, took a photo, uploaded them, and went to bed. The next morning, I get up and I noticed that somebody had responded to my post. Ryan Houston, who seems like a veteran metal detectorist. I've seen his post before, but he asked me, what is the mint mark on the 1909 wheat, and does it have VDB on the back? So, grabbed the penny out of the bottle of Wheaties that I have, and wheat pennies, not cereal, by the way, and took photos of it, took photos of the front, took photos of the back. And when I looked at the photos, I saw that the mint mark was S, but originally I didn't see any VDB on the back of it. So I go to add those photos to the Facebook site, and it's when I'm uploading the photos that I noticed, oh, there is VDB at the very bottom, little small letters. And so I upload it up and respond to Ryan's post that its mint mark is S, and it does have VDB. I hope that's good. And he told me to Google it, that it's worth some money, and I did, and I was shocked. So when researching the penny online, I found an article on coins.thefuntimes.com that states perhaps the most important part of the story all comes down to the initials on the back of the coin. VDB are the initials for Victor David Brenner, who was the renowned designer of the Lincoln wheat cent. And he placed his initials on the reverse side of the Lincoln cent, near the bottom next to the wheat stalks. While the public generally loved the Lincoln cent when it first was released, one particular problem some had with the coin was the prominence of Brenner's initial on it. People simply thought the initials were too obvious and large. And although the U.S. Mint responded by removing Brenner's initials altogether, the situation was the U.S. Mint had already produced millions of the pennies. The article goes on to say that while most of the 1909 VDB cents were produced in Philadelphia, only 484,000 of them were minted in San Francisco. And that may seem like a lot, but there's immense popularity about collecting wheat cents and Lincoln cents in particular, and that's what pushes the value. So I looked at the coin value on usacoinbook.com, And it says in good condition, it's $806, and in uncirculated condition, it's $2,167. And I can't imagine that digging a penny out of the ground would have anything other than the lower end of it. So here's the real question is, what do I do with it? I need some outside opinions on this. I feel very grateful that I was able to find this coin. But do I clean it and have it graded and then display it in some manner? Do I sell it to maybe somebody who would have a little bit more appreciation for it, and maybe use the money to buy a pinpointer or some sort of metal detecting equipment? Obviously, it's not valuable enough to where, hey, my house in the Caribbean is set or anything like that. But, I'm kind of struggling with that. So let me know what you think I should do. Write a comment and give me some guidance on it.